Confusion doesn't show up loud. What does it do? It creeps in quietly, killing progress, trust, and morale. Clarity, it's the silent assassin of mediocrity. It sharpens focus, it fuels speed, it makes every word a weapon. The punchline, Kyle, clarity trumps persuasion. Today we're going to cut through that fog, and if you're listening, you will learn how to lead with ruthless clarity, whether you're communicating a vision, giving feedback, or setting standards. And to show you how powerful this is in real life, let's rewind to a moment where clarity turned what could have been just another pitch into a generational empire. And Kyle, this is from a book I just recently finished, What You're Made For, Powerful Life Lessons from My Time in Sports by George Raveling, a.k.a. Coach Rav, co-authored by our guy Ryan Holiday. And before Air Jordans were global icons, Michael Jordan was just a kid about to turn pro. And his heart, mind, set on Adidas. Coach Rav saw the future before it had a logo. He kept nudging MJ to take a meeting with Nike, and eventually they sat down. It was George, Michael, and one of Nike's executives, Sonny Vaccaro. They're at this barbecue joint in Santa Monica called Tony Roma's. And Jordan was just expecting another bland, boring pitch. And he's like, there's no way they're going to change my mind, and I'm going to go with Nike over Adidas. But what he got was ultra crystal clarity. Nike didn't want him just to wear their shoes. They wanted to build a brand with him. Air Jordan wasn't just some marketing idea. It was a movement spelled out with conviction over some good old ribs and revolution, my man. And their pitch wasn't about a product. It was about a vision. And it was about co-creating the Air Jordan brand. And the clarity of Nike's intent instantly in that moment separated them from Adidas. It was a moment of bold, visionary communication that changed the course of sports and business. And I think pulling it all together is, people don't rally around shoes. What do they rally around? A purpose so clear that it feels like their destiny. And, but clarity isn't just for legends like MJ. It is a daily leadership weapon, and no one knows that better than you, my man. So why don't you take us there? Tell us about a time you thought the message was clear, but your team heard something completely different, and what broke down, and how did you fix it?
My man, clarity is king. And honestly, buddy, this is something that happens all the time, unfortunately, right? And specifically when I was really new to leadership. I'd have a meeting with a group or with a team member, and we would just talk through everything that needed to be done, and through this conversational meeting, I'd give some instructions and maybe I'd throw a timeline in there, and then we'd move on, and in my mind, I'd have these crystal clear expectations, based on everything that we talked about. And I assumed that I had provided clarity, because in my mind, from my perspective, it made perfect sense. It was like, this makes perfect sense to me. All right, team, let's go. Yeah. Let's get it. Yep. And I'd get really confused and frustrated because in reality, everyone took away a little different interpretation of what had been discussed. And I wasn't getting the results that I expected. And I just when that happens, you're like, these folks are dummies. Why? Why are they not delivering what we talked about? We were all there. I said the words, what's going on? And that's not fair, right? My team members weren't dumb. They just had different perspectives, which left them with a different understanding of where we were going. And so ultimately, I ended up in situations where I didn't deliver as a leader because of my inability to lead, and the people that were depending on me were my leaders above me, and now I'm not delivering for them. So it's a whole mess, right? So I would miss deadlines. I'd be scrambling at the finish line to adjust and correct work that wasn't completed to specification. And I was the one that was left looking like a dummy because I didn't get the results from my team, and it's not their fault. This was on me. So what I realized, that I wasn't providing clear, unambiguous directions. It was 100% my fault for not providing clarity. So I made some very simple adjustments that like literally immediately solved the problem. So what did I do? At the end of my meetings, I would close with a recap of directives and expectations. Basically just like pulling it together and being explicit in what I wanted to happen, saying those words out loud. Then I follow up with an email outlining the conversation. Hey guys, this is what we talked about, and providing succinct bullet points with those directives, deliverables, and timelines. Like if those things are important, we don't leave it to chance. We don't leave it to perspective. I'm putting it in the email and I'm making sure that everyone is clear. And by putting it in writing, I ensured that we were all on the same page. And if anyone at any point lost sight of what we had discussed in that meeting, now they have a resource. They have a reference to get them back on track. They can pull up that email and they can read through that. As I grew as a leader and the type of work I was leading grew in complexity, now this has evolved into using like project management tools like Monday or Notion or Jira based on the work. And it's where the details, directives, and timelines for a multitude of projects can be easily managed simultaneously. And I just can't live without these tools now. But I just want to share this story based on like my growth and my evolution as a leader. If your team's not getting it done, it's not because they're dumb. They just need clarity, right? So if there's confusion down the line, it started with you. And you need to own that. And as leaders, it's our job to make the picture of success so clear, there's no room for misinterpretation. When you take the extra time to explicitly define the what, how, and when, you speed up execution and you just prevent wasted time, man.
Yeah, no, I love that. And that really right there is why clarity cannot be optional if you are a leader, right? It is the absolute difference between alignment and drift. And oftentimes you might have to communicate that clarity in multiple forms, in a meeting verbally, in a follow-up email, and using those platforms, and hit it a few times in order for it really to sink in with everybody. So let's go a little deeper with that. And if you want to lead with elite clarity, we have 3 tools that will lock in your message and light up execution. And the first one is the conversation decoder. In an exceptional book on communication called Super Communicators by Charles Duhigg, he emphasizes that effective communication isn't just about talking. It's about understanding the type of conversation that you're in right now and recognizing whether it's a discussion about facts, data, or is it emotions, feelings, or is it about identity? And understanding that allows you to tailor your approach, right? Leading to a more meaningful and productive interaction. So how it works is, number 1, identify the conversation type. Determine if this discussion is informational, facts, is it emotional, aka feelings, or identity based, so like self-perception. And then Kyle, adapt your approach, right? So for factual conversations, focus on data and logic. For emotional ones, empathy and understanding. And for identity discussions, reinforce the person's self-image positively, right? And then respond appropriately. So tailor your responses to align with the conversation type. That will help make sure your message resonates and it lands. And effective communication starts with understanding the conversation you're in, Charles would say. And by decoding the nature of your conversation, you can connect more deeply. You can reduce misunderstandings, provide clarity, and foster that trust. And this applies, right? It applies in team meetings. It applies in client interactions. It applies in both personal and business relationships.
Yeah, just slowing down, being thoughtful about your conversation. How are you going to approach it? What's the context here? It's such a good tool, man. I really appreciate that. Tool number two, this is the Paint Done protocol. Paint Done protocol, and this is a right from Brene Brown. If you haven't checked out her book, Dare to Lead, highly recommend. But the premise here is that, of course, vague direction breeds mediocre execution. And if you give elite clarity and describe the finish line so clearly that your team can visualize it, you're going to get better results. So the concept of paint done, like we're talking about like a paintbrush, right? Like she's painting the picture on my canvas. So painting done, this is what I want it to look like. So the whole concept is about asking yourself, what does done actually look like? If you can't articulate it, then you're absolutely going to get trash results yourself. So if it's important and it needs to be done to specification, then what does done actually look like? You can't expect anyone to deliver if there isn't clarity on what the finished product needs to look like. And so be really thoughtful in the way that you describe the end goal. You have to be specific, thorough, and have as much detail as is possible. Like, so some examples, like, okay, get the client proposal ready. This is a trash directive. This is not clear. You have not painted done. Like, okay, I'll get it ready.
Tell me more, Kyle.
Right? So this is, the proposal is ready when it has our value proposition. It has an explanation of why we're the best in the business. It has 2 testimonials from our current client. And let's say it's got 3 visual mock-ups for them to review. That's done. And then you could even use the done, not done clarifier, just like to make sure that everything is solidified. So ask your team to replay back what they heard, but in terms of what done looks like. So have them say done is, and then play back what they heard you say. And then now you're in a dialogue about, oh, okay, great. Yes, done is exactly that. Perfect. Thank you. You can verify that they understand, verify that they know what they need to deliver. And if anything is missing or lacks details that are important to delivering the final product, then you would clarify. Like, okay, you would highlight that's good, but we're missing X. And without X, it would not be done. So even if we had everything else that you described, minus X is not done. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay, cool. Now we've worked together to paint done. So you don't get what you want, you get what you describe. Paint done transforms like the murkiness in some of these interactions into clear finish lines your team can confidently run toward.
I got to run that back. You don't get what you want, you get what you describe. Just sit with that for a minute. I love that. Tool number 3. This comes from Jonah Berger's book, Magic Words. Number 3, activate identity to drive action. The punchline is people are generally more motivated when actions align with their self-identity. And how you can apply this is, for example, use nouns instead of verbs to frame actions. So say, Kyle, be a contributor instead of, Kyle, can you please contribute to this client proposal, right? And that little subtle shift, it encourages individuals to see the action as part of who they are, their identity, increasing commitment and follow through. And I think, people strive to be consistent with who they believe they are. So frame up requests in a way that aligns with the individual's desired identity to enhance motivation and action. Boom it. Look at this, man. We're crushing. Let's fucking go. Let me, you got these up. Shall I close this out, man, with a little closing challenge for the week?
Absolutely, man.
Beautiful. Love it. So before your next meeting, ask yourself a simple question. What is the one thing I need my team to leave with? Lead with that and end with it, and then watch what happens. Most meetings are memory black holes. So this is an opportunity to flip yours into a clarity booster. And if you do, we'd love to hear about it. Tag us, and hit us up. And, let's make clarity contagious and every minute count.
Was it too, did we do too little this time?
I don't know. We'll find out. It went much shorter than I thought it was going to.
Or did you want to do the, we talked about doing the debrief if there's anything immediately on your mind so that.
I'm really excited to tell that story. And I thought, I don't know. I just don't know that I delivered.
I just really fought myself from interrupting you on the real world story because I wanted to be like, wait, what? I did not know that Michael Jordan had his heart set on Adidas. That's so whack because he is everything that is Nike. Yeah. Air Jordans are it's its own fucking platform. It's wild to think that may not have been a thing.
That's literally I just gave the quick hitters of it, dude. But listening to that story and talk about clarity, and Michael Jordan does the forward of that book, and so and he talks about that in the forward. It's it was because of 100%. I don't care what's been said over the years, this, that, or the other. Is that it was 100% because of George Raveling that I ultimately went with Nike.
That maybe you can pull some from that if it feels the episode needs a little juice.